Surprise volcano eruption in Iceland. A volcano eruption in Iceland 40 miles south of the capital Reykjavik. The international airport Keflavik is operating normally and flight traffic is not affected. The unexpected eruption followed a heavy series of local earthquakes. The lava flows cover an area that is at most about 500 meters wide. The eruption is limited to a small area in the Geldingadalur Valley, and it is unlikely that lava flow will cause damage to infrastructure. The volcanic activity along the eruptive fissure has decreased somewhat since yesterday. The lava fountains from the vents on the eruptive fissure are only weak and the lava output rate is small, the Icelandic Met Office IMO who monitor the eruption reported. Record-breaking number of earthquakes preceding the eruption following weeks of consistent seismic activities totaling over 50,000 quakes since February 24, 2021, Iceland's Krýsuvík volcanic system finally erupted. The number of earthquakes recorded during the buildup preceding the eruption is easily the largest number of earthquakes during a seismic swarm ever recorded in Iceland. According to the Icelandic Meteorological Office IMO, the eruption started at 8:45 p.m. local time in Fagradalsfjall and Geldingadalur. The eruption was first observed on a web camera position close by. IMO also confirmed the eruption on thermal satellite imagery. Iceland Volcano. The fissure is located in a valley about 4.7 kilometers from the southern coast of the peninsula. Grindavik is the closest populated area, located 10 kilometers southwest of the eruption site, but it is currently uninhabited. IMO stated that seismic activities and magma intrusions has been lower in the recent days. Low-frequency earthquakes were recorded below Fagradalsfjall earlier in the day. The eruption was discovered with a 200-meter fissure that had begun producing lava. Within hours, however, the fissure grew to about 500-700 meters. Small lava fountains were noted along the length of the fissure. IMO also noted that the lava seems to be flowing slowly to the southwest. Twitter.com. There have been no reports of ashfall as of the time of this writing. However, tephra and gas emissions are to be expected. Iceland's Department of Civil Protection and Emergency Management advised residents to close their windows and stay indoors to avoid any direct contact with volcanic gases from the eruption. Reykjanesbrut, the main highway from the capital region to Reykjanesbær and Keflavik International Airport, was also closed. This is to restrict access of civilians in the area, and for first responders to be able to drive freely to assess the situation. The aviation color warning over the Reykjanes Peninsula was elevated to red, signifying ongoing eruption in the area. The fissure eruption in the Reykjanes Peninsula is an effusive one, described by steady outflow of lava from the formed fissure on the ground. The Krýsuvík Trollhättinga volcanic system has been inactive for the past 9 centuries, while the area of Fagradalsfjall, considered either a volcanic system in its own or a western branch of the Krýsuvík Trollhättinga system, has not had any historical activity. The last eruption in the wider area dated back to the 14th century. The volcanic system has a tendency to exhibit phreatic eruptions. This occurs when magma interacts with water, leading to a very violent explosion. Phreatic eruptions in the volcanic system may result during simultaneous rifting and eruption episodes, as the Reykjanes Peninsula has a high groundwater level. Iceland eruption small so far, not expected to cause major problems. The new eruption is located near Geldingadalur, around the center of the recent dike intrusion of magma that has formed under the peninsula over the recent weeks. It started very quietly with almost no seismic activity when finally, a fissure opened, reaching around 500 plus 700 meter length. The monitoring Icelandic Met Office IMO first became aware of the eruption from local reports of visible glow in the area about half an hour after the onset of activity. In fact, its timing and location surprised scientists. They had expected the most likely place for magma to push up to the surface being close to the southern end of the dike, where most seismic activity had taken place recently. Instead, it chose to break out right above the center of the recent intrusion, near Geldingadalur Valley, east of Fagradalsfjall and close to Stóri Rutur. So far, the eruption is small and does not cause any concern for potential damage. No significant amounts of ash have been released. This is mostly due to the fact that, differently than the notorious 2010 Eyjafjallajökull eruption, there is no ice covering the vents. The Keflavik airport is not affected by the eruption, and the no-fly zone over the eruption area does not contain Keflavik. Unless the eruption dynamic changes significantly, something not expected for the immediate future, There should be no disruptions of air traffic. Concerning the lava flows, there are currently two narrow tongues flowing south-southwest and another to the west. The location of the eruption near Gelding-Ottelier is in an area with very little infrastructure potentially at risk, something Icelandic authorities likely are happy about. People in Thorlaksfjall are being advised to remain indoors and keep windows closed, as a precaution against volcanic gases. Thorlaksfjall is the closest community downwind this evening. Grindavik town is upwind. According to RUV, glow of the lava from the fissure and the lava flows can be seen over a wide area including relatively far away locations such as Hafnarfjordur and Thorlaksfjall. The government urged people to stay away from the area, in particular in order to avoid exposure to volcanic gases released by the eruption. In addition, the closest roads are closed and there is little to see, the Icelandic National Broadcasting Service RUV writes. The eruption came somewhat as a surprise at this stage of the ongoing seismic crisis, because the seismic and ground deformation activity had decreased during the past days compared to the preceding weeks. Some scientists had started to speculate that the process might rather be calming down instead of developing into an eruption. The volcano seismic unrest continues on the southern Reykjanes Peninsula, centered around Fagradalsfjall mountain.